Welcome to the Earn Your Marks podcast, presented by Pro Exam Tutors, the only podcast you need to pass the CFP exam and become a certified financial planner professional. Here's your host, Sev Meneshian.
Welcome to the Earn Your Marks podcast. I'm Sev Meneshian, certified financial planner, practitioner, lead tutor, and the founder of Pro Exam Tutors. Now, in this episode, I'm going to talk about some of the things that will be tested as far as the retirement planning module is concerned. Now, first of all, for many of you candidates, I know that the retirement planning portion of the CFP exam is very challenging. It's understandable why, because most of us don't actually come from a pure retirement plan or plan administration background. So, things like a Form 5500 or a private letter ruling are all things that we don't ordinarily contend with. Okay, but regardless, the CFP exam is, or the board, I should say, is very interested in having this wide range, what this wide range of topics are. Okay, so you've got to be prepared. As I mentioned, most of us don't come from a pure retirement plan admin background. I came from like a hybrid background, you could say, prior to opening the doors to my financial planning practice. I was doing retirement plans on a group basis in the public sphere. So these are mainly like 457 plans that we were dealing with. And, things like loans from the plan, early distributions, those are the things that we had to contend with. There was some testing here and there, but it wasn't a great portion. So if you come from a retirement background, things like the 5500 or a private letter ruling, those will look familiar. If you don't, it's not a big deal. It'll take a little bit of time to learn. That's all. But so, a lot of the topics that you are going to be focusing in on, or some of the topics that you're going to be focusing in on, I'll talk about today, such as IRAs, qualified versus non-qualified plans, funding formulas. What if we have funding for a plan, or when we have funding for a plan, now what happens if we've overfunded the plan? Are there corrections? Are we going to face some sort of a penalty? We meaning the employer. What's the situation? How can we make that overfunding mistake? How can we correct it in such a way that makes the Department of Labor and the IRS and everybody who's looking in at these plans happy? Okay, now speaking of plans, we'll have to know a lot about defined contribution plans and defined benefit plans. Now, if you're watching this video for the first time, or you've been studying this for a while and you're not quite understanding the differences, all of these plans, for the most part, I should say, most of these plans fall under the ERISA rules. All right, so that's the Employee Retirement Security Act of 1970 something. It's either 74, 76, or 78. I should know this because in an earlier video, I think I mentioned I was actually driving behind somebody whose license plate was ERISA, and I believe 78. Let's double check that one. So now that image has reappeared, I'm pretty sure that was the year. But anyway, most of these plans fall under the purview of ERISA. So I think for starters, what's really going to help, if you guys just picture in your mind's eye that we've got defined benefit plans on one side, I always say like the left side, because that's the picture that I'm seeing in the little worksheet that I've developed, where we have pensions on the left, we have 4 pension plans, and then we have a dozen or so that are on the defined contribution side. And what you want to start off with is just very fundamentally, what we're going to be starting off with is, okay, well, what's so different between, if we have a dividing line between these two types of plans, what's the big difference? Well, defined benefit plans, let's say like our left side plans, of which we only have 4, they're promising something, either a benefit, stick around for 20 years, you're going to get, $10,000 a month as a pension or whatever it is. Okay. Or we are not going to promise you guys a benefit, but under another defined benefit type of plan, we will promise that you are going to get, for example, a guaranteed rate of return. Therefore, we can promise what we can look ahead 20 years to see what your future benefit will be. And it might be higher, but it won't be lower than an X amount, because for every year that you stick around, we're guaranteeing that you make 6% return on your plan, or for every year that you stick around, we guarantee that you're going to make $1,000 per month. So you stick around for 10 years, you'll get $10,000 a month when you retire. There are a million different funding formulas out there. That's just obviously a couple of examples, but you want to be familiar with all of these different plans, the 4 different defined pension plans and the dozen or so defined contribution plans, and just look out for the main difference between the two, which in a nutshell is pension plans are promising something, defined contribution plans are not. You're still getting a benefit. We're just not making any sort of guaranteed on the defined contribution side. Okay. You'll also be asked to do some type of retirement needs analysis. For example, we've got a business owner who's 50 years old. The guy's got a lot of younger employees and wants to know, or he and his wife want to know, how they structure the retirement plan so that he and his wife can benefit the best, but also stay within the lines of the retirement or the rules of the retirement plans, to make sure that our 20 and 30-year-olds are getting enough of a piece of the pie, so to speak, so that everything is equal. And I, as the 50-year-old, can I set my retirement age to be age 60? And can I put away a lot more than the 25-year-old that I just hired? Okay, because to me, if I'm 50 years old and I'm putting away way, way more than the 25-year-old, it seems to me that I'm discriminating against the 25-year-old. And while it may appear to be that way, what's really happening is that at the end, with our end goal of 60-year-old retirement age for myself and the 25-year-old, or the 25-year-old group, or the group that's in their 20s, okay, as long as the benefit at the end of the day, meaning age 60, is going to be about the same for me and the 25-year-old, then I certainly can discriminate with my contributions, as long as the benefits are not discriminatory. Okay, so there's going to be a difference. There's going to be a difference there as well between your different plans. And I know you're watching this, you're starting to get the anxiety is probably starting to kick in. It's not that bad. It just takes a little bit of studying, or a lot of studying, but it's not terrible. But anyway, you want to know that probably for the exam. I don't know what they're going to test, of course. Subject wise, I don't know what they're going to test. Only the board is going to know. I'm just assuming that since retirement plans are such a large percentage of the CFP exam, that knowing the different types of plans that are out there and for whom those plans are the most appropriate, or given a situation, which plan is the best, I think those are things that we probably want to key in on. All right. So other things that we absolutely want to be sure of are, what are the difference between SEP plans, simplified employee pension plans, and simple plans? Who are those for? Is the SEP plan for an employer that has only 50 employees? Yeah, maybe. Well, in the SEP plan, who's making the contribution? Can the employee? It seems to me most of the plans, it looks like the employee is coming in, but I think there might be a handful of plans out there where the employer is the only one who's making the contribution. And maybe that's the case with the SEP. Maybe that's not so much the case with the simple plan, but it can be. Who can contribute to the simple? Is it the employer, or is it the employee? Can we get away with the employee not putting anything away into a simple, and it's only the employer is putting in? If I've got a simple plan at my 9 to 5 regular Monday through Friday job, and I'm going to max out that contribution, can I go to my weekend job, completely separate employer, and contribute the max over there as well? Or is there some sort of cap on having 2 simple plans? Can I have another retirement plan if I have a SEP or a simple setup? If I have 200 employees, can I set up a simple? Okay, so I'm peppering you with all these different questions. Obviously, there's the reason behind those questions, because I want you to go out and find the answers. I think if I told you, I mean, that's okay for another video, but hopefully what I'm doing is motivating you, not scaring you, but motivating you to get back to the books or to pick up the books and make sure you know the differences and the intricacies of all these different types of plans. You're going to probably have to be, you're going to probably have to know them because you'll probably, I should say, you're going to have to know these things because you'll probably be tested on them on the exam in one form or another. Okay, so make things really easy on yourself. Know the simple, know the SEP plan, know your IRAs, Roth IRAs, like the back of your hand. Those 4 plans in particular, as well as the 16 or so plans that I mentioned before. If it's got a retirement plan, we're going to know we need to know all the nuts and bolts. We're going to get into, or you're going to be getting into something, or you already into something called non-discrimination testing. Okay, so when we set up a qualified retirement plan, and what am I talking about qualified? What I'm really saying is that this is a plan that meets all the standards of the ERISA rules that dictate qualified retirement plans. Now, we're not going to talk about non-qualified retirement plans really in this video. I'll do another one on that. But as far as your qualified plans are concerned, we need to have non-discrimination testing. We cannot have a bunch of an owner or a bunch of owners getting together, setting up a retirement plan and doing so that it only favors them. Okay, if you as the employer want to set up a retirement plan, that's great. One of the reasons that you're doing it, obviously, is to retain, reward, to attract employees. But another reason you're doing it is that you're getting a tax break up front at that as well. And we'll take upfront tax breaks all day long. But if you're going to do that with a qualified retirement plan, you are going to play by the IRS, meaning the IRS, you're going to play by our rules, meaning that sure, you can discriminate. We're going to call it non-discrimination testing, but sure, you can discriminate a little bit. Okay, if you're non-highly compensated employees, which is a term you'll need to be familiar with, if your non-highly compensated employees are putting away on average 2% of their salary into the 401k, well, you as a highly compensated employee, you can put away more than that, but not too much more. You can put away twice that amount, and then you're capped at that. The cap actually comes from partially what your non-highly comped employees are doing. Okay, so again, now we've got some tests, non-discrimination tests. We can just say, hey, everybody, you're getting a contribution, and as long as 70% of you guys that are working here, or your non-highly comped employees, are getting that benefit, then no testing. You don't have to do 5,500 or to a greater degree. You don't have to do testing to a greater degree, non-discrimination testing. There's other testing involved, but the discrimination part, you don't have to worry about it if you have a so-called safe harbor plan in place. If you don't, and you're covering at least a certain number of non-highly comped employees, that's fine. Discriminate just a little bit, and you'll be able to get away with it. You're not doing anything wrong, but just understand that you're going to be capped. Now, once you pass one of those hurdles, there's also funding. Okay, so if we've overfunded the plan, we need to take some corrective actions. And those are things that are in your book and your videos that you'll be learning about as far as corrective actions are concerned by the highly comped employees. Okay, if they put in too much relative to how much the non-highly comp put in, that's fine. We will correct that. So those, again, things that we're going to be looking into either in the tune-up course or in the live review, full course, other videos or material that are out there. Okay. So we talked about the different types of plans, our pension plans, our profit sharing plans. Make sure you're brushed up quite a bit on your Roth 401ks. Also, the distribution rules will be very, very, very important. I should note on your IRAs and all qualified plans, distribution rules. We need to know how long do we have to take the money out? Do we have 1 year? Do we have 10 years? Okay, if that's my spouse's IRA, can I move that into my own? Should I move it into my own? That was my, I don't know, my best friend's IRA. You left it to me. Can I move that into my own IRA? It's a non-spouse, so there might be a different rule. Again, don't get nervous with all the rules. What I would do if you're studying earlier, if you're seeing this early enough, or you're, within, well, let's just say that if you're seeing this enough, you have plenty of time to go through and really study those rules on the IRAs and all of your qualified plans. Like I would spend a lot of time inside of your retirement planning module. Now, just another piece of advice as far as retirement is concerned, even though it's a retirement planning module, you will be seeing most definitely, you will be seeing some tax related questions. It's only natural. I mean, if you're going to take money from an IRA or qualified plan, we know that there are going to be some tax ramifications or tax calculations that are needed. I have a feeling that the board would probably be testing you on those. For example, if you have pre-tax and post-tax contributions that you've made to an IRA, if you take that out, how is that taxed? Is it pro rata? Or is it, first in, first out, like it is with a Roth IRA? I don't, I think there's a difference between those two. So contribution limits, be aware of them. Those are going to be on your Appendix G on your tax table. So we don't have to go through memorizing most of that information on the contribution limits. That is, but just watch out for when we have two different plans. If I have two 457 plans, I can max out to both of those plans. Okay, I can really go nuts with that. So if I work as a cop, Monday through Friday, and then on the weekend I've got a security business or I work for a security firm, and I can max out my 457 over there or my 401k. Most likely, if it's a private security firm, then maybe it looks like I can max out both of those. But what if I have a 457 and a simple IRA? Now, can I max out for both of those? That's where it gets a little bit tricky. And the answer to that one is yes, you can max out to both, but you have a cap. You have a limit on those. Okay. If you have a 401k and a 457, go nuts with those. You can max out the cap those out. There is a different catch-up provision on the 457. Be on the lookout for that. There's a different catch-up provision on the 403b. Be on your toes for that one too. And lastly, what I'll mention is that we have retirement plans for business owners. I had gotten into it a little bit before, but we want to, we want to make sure that we have things down such as the permitted disparity. If I'm integrating my plan with Social Security, really, what does that mean? Now, I believe so. Don't quote me on this one, but I think I have a video on Social Security integration. If I don't, let's say that's probably going to be my next video because that can be a confusing topic. But after you've been teaching it for like 15 years, it becomes a little bit less confusing, like a little bit less than that. No, I'm just kidding. It's not bad. After just a little bit of study, the Social Security integration should not be too big of an issue. Okay. All right. So hopefully you found this video on retirement plans to be informative. I know I didn't get really too deep into the details, but pointed out some of the major areas that you need to be focusing on. And it's the CFP exam, so we all know that studying is most definitely is a significant commitment to make. Make sure that you're hitting the books, doing lots of practice questions. Practice questions are the key. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to us on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, which is at Pro Exam Tutors, for videos and other tips and topics. And I'll post different things on there that you guys can download as well. Some sample questions. Those are coming forth. And if you find this information to be helpful, please let me know with a like and a comment. I always love hearing from you guys. And if you know somebody or a study group that can benefit from this knowledge, please be kind by sharing this information with them. It'd be much appreciated, a little bit by me, but a whole lot by your fellow CFP travelers. So thanks again for tuning in, and look forward to posting another video and seeing you guys again. Thanks. Take care.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Earn Your Marks podcast. For more information or to get in touch, visit us at proexamtutors.com.